First of all, Martin, what do you think the public might have made of this? Because what Jeremy Hunt was saying there is, frankly, we're not going to cut your taxes. In some areas, we're going to put up your taxes, and we're not going to support you with energy costs for as long as you thought. But to some extent, the markets have responded well. It's very hard to gauge where the public will be on this.
Yeah, that's a great point, Tom, because really what's happening is almost in a way the markets are talking to the British public via Jeremy Hunt. And the markets are saying, we want taxes to go up and we want spending to go down. And Jeremy Hunt is saying that. He's saying that there have to be, in his words, difficult decisions on those two. And I think we know what that means. And so the markets are forcing the government to tell the people that because essentially the national credit card has kind of run out of slack. And you can't just keep whizzing it through the cash machine. So, but politically, that may not be a very welcome message. On the other hand, the Conservatives may be thinking that they've got to do something different for the markets. But politically, they're in a dreadful mess anyway. Our latest poll that we just did this morning, or a poll of polls, has got Labour 26% ahead. 26%. Labour need about 10% to form a government with a majority. 26% would give them a massive majority. On our figures, we've actually got the Conservatives not even in second place, not even the official opposition. That would be the SNP. The Conservatives would have potentially 4 seats fewer than that. So the Conservatives are in a very deep political hole. So Jeremy Hunt, I guess, is thinking that if he stops digging and gives bad news to the British public, that might go down better than the go for growth strategy that Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng put forward a few weeks ago. But of course, it's an open question as to whether people want to hear this news about higher taxes and lower spending, because it's not been the political dynamic for the last couple of decades now.
For the last few months, the Conservatives have lost what was once a considerable lead over the Labour Party on the issue of the economy. Now, forgetting all of the headline rates, it's issue-by-issue rates that are sometimes very, very interesting. And, for example, Ed Miliband never led on the question of the economy from the 2010 to 2015 Parliament, and never led on the issue of leadership. Keir Starmer now leads on both of those points. Is it possible for the Tories to turn things around?
Well, you're right. Sort of every indicator we can measure is flashing red for the Conservatives. There's very little good news around for them in the polls at all. That's, more bad news there, that the Conservatives have, as you say, traditionally had a lead on the economy. Even if they're perceived as the nasty party, they were the sensible nasty party. They potentially lost that. I guess Jeremy Hunt is trying to recover some of that ground and saying, look, the truth is not very pleasant, but we're going to do the necessary things to get the economy back on track. If he gets that message, may resonate with the British public, and we might see a turnaround in the opinion polls. Conservatives have to hit bottom at some point, you might think. So if he can turn that around, then that will be potentially better news for the Conservatives than a while, but there's still a very long way to go before they're back in contention with Labour. I guess we'll probably see market reaction before we see the public's reaction. It'll take a few days and before we've got a reliable set of opinion polls to see where this is landing. But, it is tough. He's having to sell bad news to a country that doesn't much like the Conservatives at the moment. That's a tough gig.
Yes, who'd have the gig? I suppose one point of light for the Chancellor is, of course, he does now seem to be almost entirely in control of what this government does. And Liz Truss almost there sitting as the face in front of the curtain, Jeremy Hunt, the man behind the curtain, pulling all the levers.